Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, and today we'll be focusing on creating our main menu. So first off, we want to go to our game folder, and we're just going to create a folder for our menu itself. So right click and create folder, and we are going to name this our main menu. Right, and in this folder I'm gonna copy over a few packages that I've put together. They will be available in the description also if you want to follow along. Right, so these are the images that we will be using in our menu. And the next step is to prepare these images. So we're gonna highlight all of them, and we're gonna convert them to a 2D sprite. So we'll go into the inspector and we select texture from the drop down, and then we select sprite 2D. And in the sub option, we're going to ensure that the Xbox setting is selected, and we're going to override for Xbox 360, and we're going to apply setting. All right. Once those settings are applied, we're going to go back to our main menu folder, create, and we're going to create our scene for our main menu. And I'm just going to name this main menu. All right, so let's select our menu. All right, so being a tool menu is going to be a 2D scene, so we'll select the 2D option in the scene tab. And next, what we're going to do, we need something to place our menu background on. So under the hierarchy, just going to right click, and we're going to go to scroll to UI, and we're going to create a panel. Here we zoom out, we have our panel there. So let's set up this panel. So for the background, we're going to select the option for the background, and we're going to use the background that we just converted to a sprite. Game main menu. Once you select that, we're going to go to color, and we're going to brighten this so that we can see our menu. Okay. All right, so we're going to go to our canvas, and we're going to change some settings. Under canvas scalar, we're going to select the down arrow, and we're going to make sure that it's scaled with screen size. And we're going to set our screen size for the menu. So for 1080p, we're going to do 1920 by 1080. That should match your screen. You can also change this if you have a 4K screen. You can put in the correct dimensions if you so wish. Alright, so now that we have our panel, what we need to do next is to do our buttons. So being that the background itself already have the menu names to it, so we need to create buttons that we should be able to go into our menus. So we're going to rename our canvas to main menu. And we're going to create our first button. So we're going to right click, go to UI, and we're going to go to button. And in our scene, we're going to drag a button all the way up to our first menu option. And we're going to resize our button. You can use 60 by 60. Let's position the button just right. Alright, so we're going to give this button a name and let's call it our new game button. So for the text, we can remove the text, so we're not going to use the text that's there. Go back to our main button and we're going to change the sprite for it. So for the sprite, we're going to use the disable button sprite. And for the selection for the button, we're going to go to transition and we're going to use swap sprite. So for when you hover over the button under highlight, we're going to choose our for highlight. So highlight button. When the button is pressed, the press button sprite. And when the button is disabled, use our disable button sprite. With that set, one thing we need to make sure in our event system, you have to make sure force module active is selected. And our start point for our menu, being that new game will be our first selection. So we want to make sure that button is our first button in the event system. So our next step, we're going to duplicate the button 4 more times. And as we duplicate, we bring it over. Let's call this our load button. Duplicate, bring down. To be our settings. All right, we'll do the same thing one more time. I'm going to duplicate and bring down. And that will be our exit button to exit the game. Right. And let's see how this will look. Alright, so you will run into this issue. We can see at the bottom left the error that we have. We need to set a submit button. So what we're going to do, we're going to go to Edit, Project Settings, Input, and as you can see, there's no submit button. So we're just going to increase this by one more, 78. And we're just going to call this submit. And we're going to use joystick button 0, which is A on the controller, as our alternative positive button. So if we do this, so there we have it. Now we need to set the controller to navigate these buttons, but we'll get to that in a bit. So what we want to do, we're going to click on our new game button. And for the navigation, we're going to go to automatic, and we're going to select explicit. So we want to choose what button goes next. So for when you press up on the controller, we want the minute to actually cycle around. So when you press up, you're going to put the exit button for up, and down will lead to our load button. So we're going to put that for down. We do the same thing with the load button. And I'm just going to arrange them accordingly. Up goes to that. Down go to setting. So that goes to that. Goes to there. Down goes to there. Right. That looks good. So let's try that. Here on our controller, we can navigate the buttons. Now we need to create our submenu. So in creating our submenu, so we're going to do the load game menu next. So all we need to do is just duplicate this. So make a duplication, and let's call this our load menu. And for a load menu, we're going to change our panel background. So let's disable this for now. And for load, we are going to select the image source, load menu. Here we have that. So we're just going to change up these buttons. So let's call this button load game. And this one, delete load game. And we have our back button. For this button, we don't need a third button, so we can remove that. All right. So for our load button, we want to make sure that when you press up on it, it goes back to the back button. So let's put there, and when you press down, it goes to delete one button. We're just basically doing the same, repeat the same thing that we did. Symbol right, go back to when you sure when you press up, it goes to here. Press down, cycles there. Seem about right. All right. So the next button that we need is our settings button. So let's now disable this for now and re-enable the main menu so we can keep track. So we need settings. So you can duplicate any one of these. Since I'm already on the main menu, I'm just gonna duplicate that. And let's call this our settings menu. All right, now that we're over our settings menu, we're gonna do the same thing that we did. So let's disable that. I'm gonna go to our panel and we're gonna select the background for our settings. Settings menu. So for right now, we haven't programmed anything for settings. So we'll just keep the back button. So for these, we can just give them some placeholder name. Let's call it settings A. Just give them these placeholder names. And this will be our back button. All right, so press down on setting A. It should take it to setting B. Back will set it to that. Pressing up goes there, pressing down goes there. Just double checking these. Pressing up goes there, pressing down is there. Pressing up is there, pressing. Alright, so we have all those set up. So what we need to do next is to set up our buttons so that when we click somewhere, the button actually takes us somewhere. So before we do that, we need to do a script for our main menu. So we do have our script folder here. And so we're just gonna create a script. Let's call this a main menu. And this script will enable us to actually add our first scene, which is the menu itself. In the package folder, you can find the script there. So we can open up a script. So this will be the script. You can just copy this section. We'll add more to the script as the series goes along. Let's open up our main menu. Let's remove those. We have that. And we need to add our reference, which is our Unity Seed Manager. All right. So this first line here, this will basically allow the menu to select the next scene after the main scene. So your menu scene will be scene 0, and the next scene after will be scene 1, which is be your new game scene. So we're gonna save that. Let's close that, and we're gonna attach this script onto the main menu. If we go to the main menu, we'll see that the script is added. All right, so to add the scene, you go to File, Build Settings. So we already have our level 1, so we can just add current scene, and let's switch them around so that the main menu should be index 0, and then any other scene you have will follow after. I can close that. Alright, so what we need to do now, we're going to set our click command. So go into the inspector of the new game button, click, and what we're going to do is set what happens when you click this button. So we're going to drop our main menu there. We're going to select function and new game. So based on the script, this will launch the next scene. For the load game menu, what we want to do is, let's expand this right here. So we're going to add 3 on clicks. So when we click the load button, we should be transferred to the load menu. So what we'll do, we have the load menu. I want to make the load menu active. So game object, set to active. We are coming from the main menu. So we want to we're not gonna enable this. And when we go to the load menu, we want the load button to be selected. So we've got the buttons, you selected. So for the load menu, we're going to go to back button, and we're going to add 3 click function. So when we click on the back button, we basically want to go back to our main menu. So we'll be leaving the load menu. and we want this to be set as inactive. We'll be going back to the main menu, and we're going to set the main menu as active. And you can choose whatever button you want to be highlighted when you go back out, but we can just go back to the top of the menu. And that's selected. With the setting button, we're going to do the same. We're going to add 3. Right, so we're coming from the main menu, and we'll be going to the settings menu. I want this one to be selected, so that will be disabled. I want that to be enabled. And go to button, I want that button to be selected. And we go to the back button in settings, out of our 3 functions. We're coming from the setting menu, and we will going back to the main menu. I want to set that to active, and we can set the new game to be highlighted. Right? So that should do it. Alright, so that's correct. That's correct. That's correct. Let's play and see what happens. So you can navigate the main menu. I go press A, go to load. You can navigate to a load menu. You press back, goes back to the main menu that is highlighted. Go to settings. You can navigate the settings menu. Go back up. There we are. We have our main menu. So what we'll be working on our next lesson, we'll be actually adding loading. So when we select new game, this bottom bar will actually have a progress bar. So for right now, if we should go to new game and press A, the game is actually loaded, but there's nothing to say that it is loading. And there, we're in our scene and the game is loaded. So we'll be adding a progress bar, and that will be in our next lesson. So thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, and see you in the next video.